Talkin Money.
And we're back to Talkin Money with your host, Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah. Final segment of the day.
Hear about that little 3.1 earthquake down there in Malibu?
I did not.
A little earthquake off the coast of Los Angeles?
I did not. A couple people on hold. So let's jump in and get some phone calls. Here we go. Mike's been patiently holding. Mike, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
Hi, doing great.
What's happening?
Well, I can answer your question first.
Okay.
I would object mightily to buying down other people's mortgages. I mean, the prices were crazy and everyone knew it at the time. But my real question is, my folks died last year, and they had a couple houses in their estate.
Okay.
And I'm wondering how here's what, I want to buy one of them from the estate, and I get a different answer wherever I go to the loan people about how to finance it.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you've ever encountered a situation, well, I'm sure you have, and how you would do that.
Yeah, I've done that a lot. Is there any financing on the property now?
No, it's free and clear. There's nothing against it.
Okay, and so are you the only heir, or are there other heirs?
No.
Okay.
There's four heirs. The house was appraised at about $320.
Okay.
And it's an older house. It needs some fixing up. And I can just, I would just about take the house, but I have to finance a little bit of it to pay back the trust to afford it, my share.
Okay.
And my problem is that I've gotten different answers from everybody. I mean, what I'd like to do is just borrow against the equity in the house and refinance it. But, I had the people who I have financed the home that I live in with now said, oh, no, whatever you pay for the house is the price, and you have to come up with the down payment and such. And that just seemed crazy to me. Yeah,
that I don't think that's accurate. You so in theory, you have a 25% equity in that property. So if, let's say it was you and three brothers, so you're each entitled to a quarter of it. It's owned free and clear. And I've done this a number of times. So one person wants to buy out the other three, and you want to keep the house, and they want their cash.
Right.
So you can't necessarily do it as a refinance because you're not on title, so you can't refinance something you don't own. So you would have to do it as a purchase. You would be buying it from the estate, but your down payment would be your inheritance equity in the property. So you would effectively be coming in with 25% down, which is the equity you already own in the property. So you'd be buying a 75% interest in the property. You should be able to do that without any additional down payment money. You would draft a contract with the estate or the trust or the trustee, whoever it is, and your equity portion of the property would be your down payment. That would be you could do it that way. You could do it another way. You could put the title of the property into your name. You could have the estate carry back a 75% mortgage, and then you could refinance. You could refinance it and pay them off. That's one extra step. But there's a number of ways to do it. I have done it a number of times. So it can be done. And I mean, you have equity in the property. You don't necessarily need to put any more cash down, assuming that you're going to borrow in relation to what it appraises for. Right.
Well, in fact, our equity position in it would be far more than the 25%.
Right. Your equity position is actually 100% right now, but I'm singling you out from the other three just for ease of discussion purposes. Because this is usually what happens is that one of the heirs wants to do something, the others want the cash. So that's fine. We'll finance the house, and everybody else will get their money, and you'll keep your interest in the house as your 25% equity in it, and you'll pick up the financing there going forward. And that's not unusual.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason I called was I was listening to your program on the way down the hill, and like I said, I've gotten so many different answers from different people. But, okay, thank you.
Yep. Well, if we'd be more than happy to help you can reach us after. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's go to Jim. Jim, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Good. Hey, I just kind of caught the tail end of some of your last segment, and you were talking about some proposed government discussion at the very least about some kind of a movement that would require or request mortgage companies to forgive a certain amount of the loan based upon maybe the amount the homeowner is underwater or something like that. Was that?
Yeah, correct. There's actually two different. I'm not going to use the word competing because they're both. There's two different proposals that are out there. One of them, if you recall back about a month ago, all the big banks signed on, or they said they were going to sign on to a big $25 billion bank settlement.
Right.
And that proposal are for loans that are not Fannie Mae, not Freddie Mac, not FHA. They're just the loans the bank owns. And the bank is proposing to say, you know what, we'll do a write down on our own as kind of a settlement. We'll settle some of these a little bit on our own, which is fine. That's their money. And if they want to write down the mortgages and keep them in place, I'm cool with that. That's fine. The one I was referring to this morning was specifically related to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And this is where I come back to the conversation between people that are elected and people that are hired. And the politicians, we're in the crazy season right now. The politicians, really, most of them, a lot of them are Democrats, but not all, want Mr. DeMarco, who's the head of Freddie Mac, they want him fired. And they want him fired because he will not do what they tell him to do, which is basically, hey, forgive your mortgages so we'll have a bunch of happy voters. And he's basically told them, you know what, go pound sand. I am not going to walk away from all these mortgages because you, a bunch of elected politicians, don't like the way things are going today during the election on either side of the aisle. Now, the proposal this week was that the Treasury, who has a $700 billion bank rescue package they've been sitting on, said, well, maybe we'll come in and we'll help you guys finance part of the write-down. That's what's on the table right now. So what's your thought, Jim? Should we do that or not?
Well, I would think so. It would certainly help me out. But I have a situation where I've been at home many years, and about 4 or 5 years ago refinanced on an appraisal, took out some cash. It was appraised at like $540. And here we are 4 years later, 4.5 years later, and I've got a house that's got a market value of probably in the three and a quarter range, something like that. And I owe about let's say 60. Been here many years.
But where did the cash go that you took out? I mean, that's the hard part that nobody ever wants to ask, because nobody ever wants to put anybody on the spot, and I will not put you on the spot, Jim. You don't have to answer. But you took some cash out and did something with it, as did a lot of people. So a lot of people spent their equity, and that money went to help a lot of boats and a lot of planes and trains bought in the last few years. But people use their equity and they spend it somewhere, and so now we're being asked as a group, right or wrong, do we want to come write those mortgages down? And you're one of them who said, yeah, that would be great, but I'm not sure overall that that's the right plan.
Yeah. Well, I spent it on a number of things. Some of it was remodeling. I mean, this is a house that, believe it or not, I've owned for 40 years, paid about $20,000 for it, and like I said, 5 years ago, it was valued at about $540.
Right.
I mean, it's got a lot of high-end stuff, and but the bottom line is, as we speak today, looking around in terms of market value, it looks like it's down in the probably 3 and a quarter or so.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of, but I mean, yeah, I didn't go out and buy a car or boats or planes, but a little bit of it went to, I don't even remember at the time, it's 5 years ago, maybe vacation or something, but also a good chunk of it, and it wasn't a big chunk of it, went back into the house.
Yep.
But anyway, and one of my questions in that regard is with regard to the HARP. I guess there's a HARP 1 and 2 or whatever. I looked into that, just kind of tops of the trees, and because of some things that have been going on actually since about 3 years ago, are some financial things that we've been confronted with on a number of different levels. And so my credit rating all of a sudden is just plunged from what it's been for many years, which is quite good. And I was told that there was a bottom line, and I want to say it was like 680 or something like that to even qualify for any of the HARP programs. Is that your experience?
That's correct. And Jim, I'm going to put you back on hold because that music means we have 2 minutes left. Yes, that is correct. You do have to have at least a 640 credit score for HARP, And that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get approved by HARP, but it's one of the factors. But the minimum threshold is a 640 credit score for the HARP 2, and, as well as a number of other factors as well. So and a couple of you that are still on hold, I apologize for we got in late here off the text line. Hey, Jeff, why is that guy buying a property he's inheriting? Because he's buying out his other inheritance with people. He's only inherited 25% of it. That's why he's buying him out. And that is it for another week. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. I did not get to a lot of things, which we'll cover next week. B of A coming out with an idea about taking you out of your home loan and making you a tenant in your own property. Some lessons learned out of the Phoenix crisis. Phoenix is already on a big turnaround in terms of real estate. We'll cover that next week as well. A lot of things to cover. So, Nick, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
No problem. I had want to just wish my daughter happy 14th.
Yeah.
My youngest turned 14 on April Fool's Day. So very proud of her.
Very good. That's it for this week. If you have some mortgage questions during the week or would like to discuss things off the air, HARP 2 or buying out estates or just you want the latest numbers on the lotto, because I did so damn well this week, 338-9400. 338-9400. You can find me at jefftarbell.com. This show is rebroadcast on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page every single week. We post it on Monday. You can find the show there as well. That is it. Thank you so much. Go get some skiing at Sierra Tahoe, and we'll see you next Saturday, everybody. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Aloha.
Talkin' Money.